What's going on, guys? Naeem Al-Abaidi here. Hope you're all enjoying your day today. We're going to go ahead and dive into Bitcoin's technical analysis and talk about this pennant that's forming here and whether or not we're going to see a breakout to the upside or a breakdown to the downside, being the fact that we're now under this exponential moving average. We're still below this 50-day moving average, and that's the red line here. And we're also seeing a positive divergence. If we look at this RSI, we see a descending support level and ascending support level with the price action, which is an opposite divergence, which also allows us to consolidate and potentially break out. So we're going to talk about that alongside with some updates on Tron, what they're doing with their de-application platforms, and the new BitTorrent BTT token being up 40+% over the last week. And then we're also going to be covering Bitcoin's regulations and the maturity with that and taking some user questions. I see we have a ton of people on our live stream. Jay, Randy, Carbon, Ron, welcome to the live stream. We're going to take a ton of your questions and dive right into this Bitcoin technical analysis. Now, if you guys don't know what a pennant looks like, let's go ahead and open up our Discord here. If you guys are not in our Discord, the link is in the description below. We send out daily signals. But when you look at this pennant, you can see this ascending support, this descending resistance. It's something we've been watching over the past week, and we're still within this pennant. Now, one thing I want you guys to realize here is there's two scenarios of where we can start headed, where we can start going. And the first scenario is going to be the breakout to the upside. Now, in order for us to confirm this breakout to the upside, what I'm watching right now is this exponential moving average. That's that teal line right here in the back, and that is a great indicator for price momentum and price action. And for us to start going above that, it would be extremely optimistic for Bitcoin, at least in the short-term future, for us to start heading towards that known descending resistance level of around that 3750 mark. So that's really what I'm watching right now in terms of Bitcoin's long position. And if we were to also pull up this MACD, you can start to see we're starting to see less action on the buyer and seller side. So not only are we starting to consolidate, which is something we really want to see right now, but we're also starting to form and build some momentum, being the fact that we're seeing this positive divergence with the descending resistance with price action, but a descending RSI support level and an ascending support level with the price action. So that's really what I'm watching right now with Bitcoin. Another thing to point out is if we were to pull up the global charts here and look at Bitcoin's market dominance, you can see here as well, we are starting to head towards that 55% level. So we're starting to increase in Bitcoin's dominance. And I think one reason for this is just the overall regulations within the cryptocurrency and digital asset market is starting to mature. You can see this article here. It says crypto milestone: Wyoming Senate passes bill to make Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Litecoin, EOS, and altcoins legal form of money. And if we were to go into the article, you can see here it says digital assets bill support the recognition of cryptocurrencies as personal property. The legislation defines crypto assets as digital consumer assets, digital securities, and virtual currency. So cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and EOS, which would be subject to the same laws as money. So is that a good thing? Well, once again, the one thing we're looking for in this market is the maturation of regulations in order for more and more investors to feel right about investing in this market, because really what we saw in 2017 is a lot of investors being worried that this market may or may not be a legitimate marketplace to trade assets. But now that we're starting to see these regulations mature, it's a very positive thing for Bitcoin. Guerra 1106 says, love your analysis. Thank you so much, Guerra. By the way, if you guys enjoy these live videos, make sure to like this video. I'm thinking about starting to do daily live streams. So if you guys want to see daily live streams Monday through Friday, like this video. It definitely shows support. And let's go ahead and move on and check out what's going on here with Tron. And then we'll go back and do some predictions for other coins before we wrap this baby up. But you can see here, this article says, what do the most popular Tron dApps look like in 2019? Well, why are we talking about Tron? Well, when we go to CoinMarketCap, one thing you'll realize is the few cryptocurrencies that are surviving this market are cryptocurrencies like Tron and other de-application platforms such as Ethereum and EOS, and then Ripple, of course, because of their mass publicity and the amount of funds they have to put towards that, they're obviously starting to ramp up, and that's why they're still number 2 right now in the full cryptocurrency market. And so in order for us to start looking at the fundamental side of Tron, we want to look at what they're doing within their platform. And so I went ahead and put this link in the description, and it's an article showing the top 10 use cases of Tron right now. And you can see the number 1 use case is Epic Dragons, which is a game, and that's very similar to Ethereum, which is funny because CryptoKitties is the number 1 use case for Ethereum right now. And so in my opinion, we need to start moving away from these games being the major use case and start moving towards more of a legitimate use case in regards to the D applications in order for us to see more institutional use. And you can see here one awesome company here, BitTorrent here, sees a 41% surge when they were listed on KuCoin. And if you guys don't know about the BitTorrent BTT coin, it's actually built on the Tron foundation. So not only are they utilizing Tron, not Ethereum, not EOS, they're utilizing Tron, but they're also seeing a huge increase in market cap. And the cool thing about the BTT token is you can see here's the BitTorrent speed will reward BitTorrent users with BTT in exchange for seeding and bandwidth, increasing the speed of torrent downloads and creating a healthier ecosystem. If you guys don't know how BitTorrent works, it pretty much works on seeds. So seeds are when somebody downloads a torrent, they're now able to seed that torrent to other users to download. And now they're creating this reward system. So not only are you just doing it out of good faith, but you're doing it in a way that you're now rewarded with the BTT token, which obviously is starting to gain momentum. So that's a very positive sign for Tron, being the fact that they're building this use case on the Tron application. So something we'll watch over the next few weeks is where Tron starts to head in regards to fundamentals and technical analysis. So let's go ahead and take a look at some questions here. Quinn Berry says, hello, sir. Can we look at Strat, please? Matthias says, name, what about Electroneum? We haven't heard much about Electroneum in such a while. I was keeping up with the developments, and it looks like a lot of these blockchain companies that had these early rounds of funding are starting to really just be on hold right now. You know, I advise over half a dozen blockchain startups, and what I'll tell you right now is behind the scenes, a lot of these companies are on a screeching hold, and you have to keep that in mind because at the end of the day, they don't want to burn through their funds. So they're taking precautions before increasing their overhead and moving and proceeding with development because of the fact that they're allowing the marketplace to mature more and more. So Tony Corona says, how you doing, sir? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. We got a ton of awesome people on live stream, guys. By the way, we're going to be doing an amazing live stream collaboration with one of our keynote speakers at our next Penthouse Mastermind on March 2nd. If you guys haven't got your tickets, the link is in the description below. We're going to have some amazing keynote speakers, not just covering crypto, but covering every aspect of creating financial independence in today's marketplace. Because once again, a lot of us got into the cryptocurrency sphere, and correct me if I'm wrong, but why did you guys get into the cryptocurrency sphere? Comment below or add it in the chat. I'd love to see your responses. But for a lot of people, they came into the sphere. For me personally, I was a trader and I wanted to increase my profits, and I saw cryptocurrencies were a lot more volatile than the majority of other markets. Therefore, I got into cryptocurrencies. And obviously, if you guys have seen, reports of traditional commodities and assets versus the crypto returns over the past few years, crypto has blown past almost every single traditional commodity or asset or stock you can think of, being the fact that we were seeing such a huge amount of adoption in such a short amount of time. So that's the cool thing about this market. It's really the fact that it's such an early market. And if we were to go on this weekly chart and take a look at what's happening here, we're starting to consolidate around these support levels that we were previously at around August of 2017 before we saw all of that hype. And we really want to see where the consolidation is going to occur, because the fact of the matter is we just can't keep going down, right? Once a market goes down, there has to be a cycle back up, and we just have to know what the bottom is in order to take advantage of that market cycle back up, which is going to be a bull market. And in my opinion, we've seen the worst of the worst. It's already been over a year that we've been in this bear market, and so now it's really time to start honing in and focusing on where price action is headed in order for us to go ahead and obtain some good positions in this market. So Crypto Creek says trending lower RSI with increasing price. I thought meant the price would go lower. No, well, that's a positive divergence. When you see price action going up, RSI declining, what's happening is the asset is becoming more and more oversold, right? Because lower RSI means oversold versus higher RSI, which means overbought. So when we're seeing the RSI higher, that's actually determining that we're most likely going to see sellers come in because now the asset has become overbought. But with a descending RSI and an increasing support level or price action, that's a very positive divergence for Bitcoin, and so that's actually a indicator of a potential breakout. But here's the biggest issue with this market: the fact of the matter is the sellers are in full control. That's why you see these huge sell bars come in terms of volume out of nowhere, bringing the price down, even when buyers come into this market. So even with this MACD, you can see buyers came in, but the sellers still had that advantage to bring price lower. And so the market is controlled by supply and demand. And so we need to determine whether or not there are more sellers or buyers in this market. And being at the price level that we're at, in my opinion, we're starting to see more and more optimism for the future of cryptocurrencies and digital assets, being the fact that regulations are starting to mature. So that's really my opinion, Crypto Creek. Hopefully that helps. Eduardo says, Vintage Naeem. Rebel the Snowfit says, DBC got in for the money and have ×4 Bitcoin holdings since getting back in February of 2019. That is awesome. One thing that you guys can take advantage of during this market are the altcoins. If you guys have been following our signals, we've been killing it with our signals. Obviously every signal doesn't result in a profit, but we're trying our best to provide the best possible entry and exit points for these altcoins. And you can see XRP on the USD chart. Let's go ahead and pull up the BTC chart because that's really what matters here, is still trending up. That's another positive thing for Ripple. So let's go ahead and take a look at Ripple's technical analysis because a lot of people have been asking about this. We did break this ascending support line that was forming for quite a bit, but we're starting to see another support line form right along this previous support level of around 8,267 Satoshis. And that's right around this mark. And in my opinion, Ripple has been getting a ton of press. It's been doing a lot of partnerships with different banks, and the fundamentals look good for Ripple, and the technicals also don't look too bad. One thing you can see here is this huge spike in RSI. Once we became completely oversold, we saw that huge spike that didn't necessarily bring price levels too high, which in my opinion was because of the volume. You can see this volume. As soon as we saw buyers, we saw sellers come back in. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say sellers are in control of this market. The fact of the matter is it's supply and demand. And when there's more sellers in the market, they're going to have more control over the market. So Peter Scoop that says, hi, and I'm great to see you. Wonder how do altcoins behave in Bitcoin accumulation phase? Assuming we're in one or in one, how was the last BTC accumulation phase, 2014, 2015? Well, the one thing you want to look at, and that's a really good question, Peter. Thank you for asking that. The biggest thing to look at in regards to the accumulation phase of Bitcoin is the market dominance of altcoins versus Bitcoin. And what we're starting to see is Bitcoin's dominance start to rise along with other altcoins, right? But not every altcoin is rising in dominance. And I think that's why we're not seeing Bitcoin's dominance crash from that 50% level. We're starting to see it maintain it. And at this point, it's starting to increase and head even higher in regards to dominance. But we're starting to see other coins like Ripple, for example. If you look at Ripple almost a year ago, it was around that 4% mark. And you can see now Ripple is all the way above 10% in regards to market dominance. So if you were to ask me how altcoins are going to behave in regards to this Bitcoin accumulation phase, it would be the best altcoins are the ones that are going to also increase in price levels as well as market cap in accordance with Bitcoin's accumulation. And the reason I say that is there are a lot of coins out there, like I mentioned before, that are in a complete hold. They're not moving forward with development. They're not progressing. And why that is because of overhead costs, right? A lot of these crypto companies have blown all of the monies that they've raised either because they've held it in cryptocurrencies or they've just spent it irresponsibly. And so, like I said, I advise over half a dozen blockchain startups, and coming from behind the scenes, what I can tell you is a lot of these companies are not going to be here 5 to 10 years from now, but the companies that will be are the ones that are making noise, right? It's just like the dot-com bubble. Which companies stayed, right? Google, Facebook, Microsoft, some of these behemoths that have now turned into the largest companies in the world, those are the ones that were making noise and actually progressing in development, hiring developers, and we're only seeing that with a handful of coins. If you were to ask me which coins, in my opinion, are really seeing development right now, obviously Bitcoin is starting to see a maturity in regulation. So we're starting to see more countries accept Bitcoin and digital assets as a form of currency. That's extremely positive for Bitcoin, right? So that's a use case for Bitcoin. Another use case would be Tron, right? You can see BitTorrent being built on Tron. Why is that important? Well, BitTorrent's coin is going to be used by every user that's on BitTorrent, right? They're going to be accumulating or have the opportunity to accumulate BTT in exchange for seeding the downloads on the BitTorrent platform. Well, BitTorrent already has a lot of users. And guess what? Those users are going to be using BTT, which is built on Tron. So Tron also doing a lot of great things. What other coins are out there, right? Ripple. Ripple has been making a ton of partnerships with different banks. Why do we see Ripple's price action heading up in regards to Satoshi value? Why do we see it maintaining support levels that were pretty much the same support levels around December of 2017? Isn't that astonishing? We're maintaining the support levels that we saw in December of 2017 during the full cryptocurrency rally. Why is that important? Because Ripple is actually making moves towards progressing its platform and becoming a viable use case in the digital currency marketplace. And so Ripple, Tron, Ethereum, obviously a ton of funds have been raised on Ethereum. I don't see Ethereum going anywhere. EOS has been having some difficulties with its coding, actually. You know, a ton of companies that I work with that have tried implementing EOS into their ecosystem have had trouble. So we're not necessarily seeing as much hype about EOS. Is it a great platform? Is it built by an amazing team? Brock Pierce and his team, right? Dan Larimer. Yes, great people. I've actually spoken on stage alongside these people. So understand the fact that the altcoins that are going to be here during the accumulation phase of Bitcoin, which is starting to be a point of focus, at least for me as an analyst, being the fact that we're in this Pennant. And if we go to this daily chart on the Bitcoin USD chart, let's go ahead and pull up this Binance chart. You can see we are still within these consolidating levels between 3,000 and 4,000. And that's a very positive place for Bitcoin to be right now, in my opinion, being the fact that we weren't at $3,000 several years ago, right? So when we look at the overall increase of market valuation with Bitcoin and where it's at right now, in my opinion, things are extremely positive, and we just need to go ahead and confirm that we're going to see a short-term breakout to the upside, which would then take us to around that 3,700 level, and then we're really just going to wait until we can break through this pennant. If you guys know how pennants look, this is exactly what a pennant looks like. We see that ascending support line, that descending resistance level, and eventually there's that breakout. So that's what we're waiting for right now. And the good thing about this is the support level in which we will confirm a breakdown to the downside is also very, very close to where current price action is, which is a very good thing, because if we're trending on a support level, then we can determine that Bitcoin is going down a lot faster than if we were already in a momentum phase. And so that's what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. Hopefully you guys agree or disagree with that. Say it in the chat. Rebel says, how plausible is the 2,600 Bitcoin short term? I would say watch this ascending support level, and if we were to breach anywhere between that 3,400 level, like around right there, in my opinion, we would start to see a breakdown to the downside that could take us to around 3,000. Would that take us to 2,600? Potentially, but once again, I'm not hoping for that to happen, especially seeing this divergence with the RSI starting to go down, which is a good thing, and starting to see price action in the overall daily perspective with an ascending support level. That's a positive thing for Bitcoin. And so as well as if we look at this MACD, not only are the buyers exhausted here, but the sellers are exhausted, and we already know there's buyers in this market. So that's pretty much what I'm waiting for right now in regards to Bitcoin's technical analysis. Hopefully that helps out. Now, one thing I will mention is during this phase, there are a ton of opportunities in altcoins. If you guys have been following our signals, we've been posting daily altcoin signals. And like I said, not every signal hits on the dot, but we're providing the best possible entry and exit points because we're seeing a daily increase in volatility when it comes to these altcoins. Regardless of what Bitcoin is doing, you can see some of these altcoins 14% up, 10% up, 7% up, 6% up. So there's still a lot of opportunity in this market. You just have to be aware of where the opportunity lies. And that's a mixture of not just technical analysis, but also fundamental analysis, being behind the scenes, being around the developers, being around the teams that run these coins. So hopefully that helps out. Let's see. Justin Janae says, hello, buddy. Can't stay on the stream at work, but look forward to watching the playback later. Keep up the good work, brother. Thank you so much. If you guys appreciate these live streams, like this video. Really helps out, and it means a lot. And I'm thinking about doing daily live streams again, Monday through Friday, just because this market is starting to come to a point in which if we start to consolidate around this 3,000 to 4,000 level, that could be very good for Bitcoin, especially with the optimism we're seeing with regulations and countries starting to accept it as a currency. With all the new Bitcoin ATMs, with all the new exposure, things could really ramp up for the long-term game when it comes to cryptocurrencies, specifically Bitcoin and some of these handful of altcoins that are actually making developments like Ripple and Tron. So Zasi says it's just hype, but interesting to trade. let's see, BitTorrent was free. Why people are going to pay for it? Nobody's going to pay for it, Zahi. So what they're doing is they're incentivizing people. See, the cool thing about digital assets is it allows you to incentivize your user base to utilize your platform, right? And so what we're seeing is BitTorrent is now adding its cryptocurrency to its platform for the users that are seeding downloads to reward them for seeding those downloads. Because if you guys don't know how BitTorrent works, BitTorrent has a ton of users, if not millions of users, which is crazy because they're going to be using the BTT token, and that's built on the Tron Foundation. And so honestly, if you were to also ask me which de-application platform in the next year might start making it towards the top 5, I would say Tron could definitely be a player. A ton of people in China look up to Justin Sun as this young entrepreneur figure, this new CEO, this revolutionary individual. Obviously, that's not the same reputation he has across the board in other countries, but the fact of the matter is he's obviously making moves towards the progression of Tron. And so if you were to ask me, hey, what coin do you think will be in the top 5 that isn't the top 5 in the next year? So I think Tron could definitely be one of these coins. And so hopefully that helps out. But yeah, so with BitTorrent, once a user downloads, a torrent and is using BitTorrent, once that download is complete, they have the option to seed it. And what that means is they're seeding the download bandwidth to another user downloading that exact torrent. And in the past, they were never rewarded, but now they're implementing this reward system. So that's really what it is. The Cato Lee says, hi, great show. Looking for capitalization, wick, and volume spike. Definitely looking for volume spike. What I'm specifically looking for, as I mentioned before, is is for this price action to go above that EMA, which is that teal line, and then see how it acts upon that 50-day moving average. The best case scenario is for us to break above the EMA and then also break above that 50-day moving average, or at least consolidate around there so that we can start to see price action heading upwards. Here's one thing I want to show you guys. If you look at the NASDAQ in 2008 and you see what happened during the crash, right? If we were to pull up this NASDAQ chart here and go back to 2008, and this was really the stock market crash that really took everyone off their feet, right? So this is 2007. We started to go up. We found all-time highs, and then we crashed down, right? And so here's what ended up happening. Once we crashed down, we formed almost like this cup, right? You saw price action start to consolidate. Right here was the consolidation period for the NASDAQ bubble in 2008. How long did that take? Well, if you go here, you look at 2008 all the way to 2009. It took a year just for the downtrend to complete. And then the consolidation period took almost another year before we started to see the market trend its way back up. And then that eventually broke its all-time highs, right? So if we were to look at this same exact bubble scenario from the NASDAQ and compare it to our current market, why? Because as Ray Dalio says in his book Principles, previous market patterns repeat themselves. Well, if we were to assume the same thing would happen to Bitcoin, well, then guess what? We're waiting to see where this downtrend starts to consolidate. Could this be the area of consolidation? Very much so. Would that be a good area of consolidation? Very much so. If we start to consolidate there, maybe give it a year, right? Because guess what? History repeats itself. And then we can start to potentially see the trend back up. And then 10, 15 years from now, we can very much so pass all-time highs that we previously saw with Bitcoin at 20,000 and see Bitcoin soar past that and just break through the roof. But it's not just going to happen the same way it happened before. Why? Because this was a certain phase in this market cycle. Every market has a cycle. And so what we're looking for right now is the consolidation phase of this market cycle, this accumulation phase. Once that occurs, not only will Bitcoin start to rise, but there are going to be a few handful of altcoins that will also rise alongside with it. So hopefully that answers your question. By the way, guys, once again, if you haven't already liked the video, make sure to put a like on the video. Just click the button. It helps us so much. And I'm planning to do daily live streams Monday through Friday just because I'm super excited about entering this possible consolidation phase. And we're starting to see so much action with these altcoins. If you guys are getting our trade signals, the link is in the description below. We're posting daily cryptocurrency and Forex signals. Stocks are going to be coming soon. And we've just been killing it with our signals. You can see here, took profits, 2%. One of our trades here got stopped out. One of these got stopped out. Another one, 13%. See, here's the thing about trading. As long as your good trades are always making more than your bad trades, which is basically your risk management technique, then you're always going to be in profit. You can just be 50% right in this market and still make profits because you manage your risk properly. See, most traders, they think that knowing when to get in and get out is the, trick and the skill to trading, but that's not true. The trick and the skill to trading is who can manage their risk properly, who can best implement risk mitigation techniques in order to preserve their capital and then take advantage of the swings that do come up. So if you guys don't already trade this market, I highly recommend doing so. It's the one way to make money, and we have an amazing program. The link is in the description below. We provide daily signals, daily education, as well as daily live calls for all of our members to make sure you guys are, at the best possible point in the market in terms of knowledge and knowing when to get in, to get out. Let's see. Chase says, I feel BTC is going to dominate the alts when the bull market comes in. What do you think? Bitcoin right now, once again, it's rising in dominance. It's at that 53% mark, and we're not seeing as many altcoins come into the market dominance, other than the fact that we see Ripple killing it. Obviously, it took Ethereum's #2 spot. Why? Well, not only do they have a ton of publicity, but they have a ton of money to back their publicity, and they're also creating a lot of partnership with banks, and that's very optimistic news for investors, and that's why you're starting to see Ripple trend up. But other coins that were around in 2017 are just not heard of anymore. Why? Because the majority of these coins are at a standstill. And I say that from experience. So I'm going to have to end this live stream soon. I'm going to be doing a collaboration with one of our keynote speakers at our Penthouse Mastermind. By the way, we're having an in-person mastermind March 2nd. I'd love to see you guys here in Hollywood, California. The link is in the description below to get into our pre-sale. And I'm super excited to have one of our keynote speakers on a collaboration call with me on the YouTube channel soon. That should be either today or tomorrow. So I'll update you guys on that. But I do have to, work on that. So I'm going to be heading out soon. But if you guys have any other questions, I'd love to take your questions. But I think we pretty much covered Bitcoin. What I would do is just stay tuned over the next couple of days. Let's watch this pennant and see where it breaks out, either to the upside or the downside. And we'll see where price action is in regards to that EMA over the next few days to determine where price levels are going to head. And once again, we're looking to see this positive divergence forming with that descending RSI and that ascending price action to hopefully see a breakout to that 3,700 level before determining whether we're going to continue this consolidation phase between that $3,000 to $4,000 range, or if we'll see downside beyond 3,000. So that's really the biggest question right now. Hopefully that helped out. Zahi says, thanks for your answer. You're very welcome. Jay Constant says, BTC will dominate when the cleansing happens. I love it. Endeavor says, exit scams. I wouldn't say exit scams. A lot of these companies just burn through their money. That's just the truth of the matter. I advise over half a dozen blockchain startups. I'm in weekly meetings with some of these companies, and they're trying their best. At least the ones I'm a part of, right? There's obviously a ton of bad stuff out there, but the companies that I'm a part of, they're at least trying their best. And if I know they're trying their best, I know there's other companies doing the same. So hopefully that helps out. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to head out. I have my call here. Make sure to like this video if you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully, this gave you a good insight on the market, and I'll see all of you guys on our Discord. We'll be posting daily signals throughout this week. And with that being said, thank you guys so much. I'm out, and I'll see you guys soon with our collaboration with one of our keynote speakers. So thank you guys for watching.